Hancock will talk about the golden age in terms of Atlantis. Okay.
Right. He views it through a laudatory prism. And that's the way that most of the ancient, nearly all of the ancient cultures viewed the golden age, through a laudatory prism. In other words, they saw it as this wonderful time of peace and prosperity. What makes the Hebrew account unique is that their view is the antithesis. They view the antediluvian world as a time of great transgression and rebellion and bloodshed, and it was unbridled immorality, and that man's interaction with the gods did not result in something positive. Rather, it resulted in something terrifying. The offspring of the gods, the giants who were devouring mankind, and the knowledge that was given to us, that Promethean fire, it was like giving children matches to play with in a dry field. The technology and the knowledge defiled mankind. So rather than going through this time of great enlightenment and peace and prosperity during the golden age, when the gods, and really the offspring of gods, governed the earth, from the Hebrew perspective, it was a nightmare.
Wow. And
it was a dystopia, and that's a stark contradiction to most of the other accounts of the golden age.
And that's a unique perspective to the to what do you call it, to the Abrahamic religions.
Yeah, and you can find there are some traditions that would view the golden age as more of a dystopia, but it's rare. It's rare. In fact, I struggle to think of any at all. The Inca believed that one of their origin myths was that the god Viracocha, the first creation of Viracocha, was a race of giants. But those giants were evil and stupid, and so he destroyed them with a flood.
Wow.
So, however, the Inca also believed that they were descended from the gods, and that the gods had inhabited the earth and built these wonderful things, and that's why they re-inhabited the what they would have viewed as the residue, the ruins of the empire of the gods,
right,
at Cusco, at Machu Picchu, at Ollantaytambo, the megalithic foundations, right, of the handiwork of the gods. So they also had sort of a dual perspective. They had one mythos of evil, stupid giants who were destroyed in the flood, but then on the other hand, they're the offspring of the gods who inhabited the earth, and that's their legacy.
Right.
So, but by far the most detailed reckoning of the antediluvian world in regard to it being a dystopia, a nightmarish dystopia, is the Hebrew account. And when I say the Hebrew account, I'm talking about primarily the account that comes from the book of Enoch.
Really?
Because if you look in the Old Testament, you're going to find references to the story that is recorded in the book of Enoch, and indeed direct quotes.
Okay, before I deterred, you were saying that the Hebrew perspective of the Golden Age is somewhat unique in that it's like catastrophic. It's not something to strive towards or for, but it's interesting because in a lot of the modern perspectives, like I listen to Hancock, I listen to this other guy once in a while called Billy Carson or Matt LaCroix, if you've ever heard of these guys.
Yeah, I'm familiar with all of those gentlemen.
Okay, they put out a certain opinion that this golden age, right, before the catastrophe, this is something to strive for and something that we need to aim towards. And then it's curious that it gets tied into kind of this new age spirituality thing, okay? And it's as if they want to bring that era back into or back to us now. But it's the Hebrew account or the biblical account that says, no, you don't want that to happen again.
Well, we need to be specific here.
Yeah.
We need to parse this correctly, because
please.
The antediluvian age was remarkable, and it is to be admired in regard to, as I said earlier, the exceptional capabilities and caliber of our antecedents, of our antediluvian antecedents. So I think there's much to be said for the knowledge and and certainly the culture of the antediluvian world, because don't forget, we're not just talking about a bunch of immoral, bloodthirsty maniacs. That comes later. We're talking about the prototype of the human species, Adam and Eve, and their offspring, who would have been magnificent. And so when I look into the antediluvian world, I have a sense of awe and terror. Awe at our antediluvian antecedents, Adam and his offspring, and terror is probably not the right word. Maybe shock and astonishment at how debauched they became and bloodthirsty, murderous, that the world became before the cataclysm. Even the Atlantean account conveys this. The Atlanteans became very militaristic and aggressive towards their neighbors, and they became very arrogant. This is part of the Atlantean lore, as told by Plato.
Oh, Hancock does.
So even the Atlantean account records this. And so I think the earlier generations of the antediluvian age are to be, as I said, to be admired. But what ultimately happened was disastrous, and it was the interference, it was the interaction with extraterrestrial beings. In the Book of Enoch, those beings were the Watchers, and the chaos that was wrought by their hybrid offspring that led to and really catalyzed the extreme immorality that preceded the flood of Noah, that preceded the cataclysm. So I would not ever want to revive what I call the empire of the gods. The empire of the gods, in which the gods walked openly among men, cohabitated with them, copulated with our females, and procreated hybrid demigods. That's a bad idea. And in fact, I think that is coming at the end of the age. That's part of the conclusion of my book. So I think we are going to see a repeat of that, a Genesis 6 2.0, if you will. I would never advocate that sort of activity.
Right.
But what I desire to some extent, to emulate the magnificence of our antediluvian antecedents, yes, absolutely. I think that we're all, to some extent, trying to be Adam again.
Right.
And, he represents the pinnacle of the human species.
Yeah, and arguably, I mean, the end of our book, the end of the Bible, is a new heaven, new earth, right? With humanity reestablished. Arguably, the Adamic order is reestablished.
Well, it's more than that. The human species, those who merit the resurrection through faith in Christ, are going to be reset to the blueprint of Adam.
Exactly.
Genetically reset to the original blueprint of the human species. We're going to be more human at the resurrection than we are now.
Yeah.
Because we are
Yeah, that's good.
We are mutants. We have degenerated